We have been told that for decades the universe is fundamentally broken into two completely different operating systems. You have the general relativity. You've watched Interstellar, you're probably familiar with this one here, which explains how massive things like black holes and gravity work. And you have the quantum mechanics, on the other hand, which explains the microscopic world. The paradox is that if you try to combine them, the math completely falls apart. Now, the string theory was supposed to be the ultimate fix for this quantum gravity problem, but critics always dismissed it because it requires way too many crazy variables, like, for example, 10 vibrating dimensions. But a brand new paper published by physicists from Caltech at NYU completely shatters that skepticism. I love watching Neil deGrasse Tyson and Star Talk, and I wanted to make this episode for you guys after I've done a lot of research. They didn't just prove the string theory might be right. They proved that if you start with the most basic, undeniable assumptions about how the universe works, string theory is the only mathematical outcome that actually survives. But wait until I tell you more about this. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Ryan. I'm an unlicensed pharmacist, which means I don't practice. And all I do on this page is research and talk about the latest advancements in technology. Let's look at the actual physics of how they stress tested this universe. The researchers didn't just start by trying to arbitrarily prove the string theory. They looked at the basic particle scattering. Now, what did they do? They asked a simple question. What happens if you take general relativity and smash particles together at Planck scale? Planck scale is the smallest thing you can ever achieve. You know, that's an energy level roughly 19 orders of magnitude greater than the proton's mass. Normally, when physicists run that equation, everything completely breaks down into nonsense. But these researchers have discovered that if you enforce just a few basic fundamental rules about how energy has to behave, the math automatically corrects itself. Pretty crazy. You don't have to really read the article to understand it. Hopefully this will explain. And the way it corrects itself is by perfectly, spontaneously generating the exact architecture of the string theory. Sounds kind of crazy. You know, it generated the infinite tower of massive spinning particles and the harmonics of the vibrating strings completely from scratch just by following a couple of basic assumptions. Think about this from the lens of pushing a system to failure. You may be able to connect with this when you walk really fast or push yourself to the limit, or when you're working a 40-day consecutive workout protocol or just a work day with no rest days, combining heavy supersets, or perhaps running, or perhaps Norwegian 4x4 intervals is something that I do. You're doing it for a highly specific reason. You're pushing your cardiovascular hardware or your body, your system, and your VO2 max to the absolute extreme energy levels because that is the only way to expose the true limits and capabilities of your biological architecture. If you stay comfortable, you will never see how the machine actually operates under maximum load. This is how people discover things about themselves when bad things happen. Now, the physicists have done the exact same thing to the fabric of the reality. By taking the standard rules of gravity and forcing them into the most extreme, high energy collision mathematically possible, they have exposed the universe's hidden fail-safe. The universe doesn't break under stress. It just shifts into a higher level of framework to handle the load. So what is the macro takeaway from all this? Sometimes the most complex, incomprehensible systems are actually just the natural result of a very simple, foundational rule being scaled up. Now, the super nerdy stuff. I spent a long time researching this topic and trying to understand the reason why this is possible and how things happen. And I could not have put it more eloquently because this person was really knowledgeable. There was a Reddit user by the name of Rose at Reddit that I'll just quote because I think they have really good physics knowledge and I couldn't have said it better. And here's exactly what they have said. They've said that the entire proof hinges on ultra softness. You can look it up. The amplitude falls off arbitrarily fast at infinite momentum transfer, t to infinity. A conditional tautology, if spacetime is a continuous manifold and scattering amplitudes are perfectly ultra soft up to the infinite momentum, then the only mathematically consistent universe is the string theory. But then people beg the question, like, where does ultra stuff come from? Why does it happen? The standard QFT amplitudes are bounded by not ultra soft. Smuggling it into perioaxiosism to bootstrap string theory feels entirely circular. This very much leaves the door open for another theory that doesn't bother using ultra softness. So ultra softness is assumed, but another theory with no ultra softness could happen. This is so eloquently put. I love it. Critics spend years saying that string theory was just an artificial math trick, but this research proves that it's an unavoidable organic consequence of the universe's basic laws. Whether you're trying to understand the quantum gravity, or build out a complex business, or push your own physical baseline, the principle is exactly the same. If your foundational assumptions are solid, the complex architecture will automatically build itself. This is karma. This is what people are talking about when they mention manifestation. So keep your base simple and let the system scale. Let me know what you think about this. And that's today's video.